Hey YouTube, Joel Boy here. Oh man, today we have a beefy topic. This one is, when I originally set out to do this video, I didn't really realize how deep I was going into just a pool of shit and information, all of which are possible to connect but very difficult. So you're really in for a treat with this video. But before I begin, I do want to say that for those of you who watched my stream the other day, where if you watched it, you'll know that Marco the Theorist was in that stream. And for those of you who don't know, Marco is a One Piece theorist that has a YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. No one does theories quite like Marco does. And so as a side note, I'll be mentioning a lot of different theories, ideas, things of that nature. Everything will be in the description if you want links for whatever I'm referencing. But anyway, in my stream, Marco offered to me an idea that he had that he thought would be better suited to my style of videos rather than his, as a topic that we could potentially cover. And this was about souls and Big Mom. And so this is exactly what I'm doing right now. This is that video if you saw that bit of clip within the stream. And this is all thanks to Marco. And in addition to this, I also got some help from Nathan Law Company and Frankie G, other theorists as well. Frankie G is on Jackson, Nathan Law is on YouTube, and so they helped me better understand what exactly I was going to say. And additionally, I want to thank Tim Shell, who's a theorist from Jackson. He helped me better understand the aspect that I'll be getting to in part of this video, which is going to cover shadows. So thanks to Tim Shell as well. Me and him have been in communication now for a long time, so it was really awesome to find that he was the one who did that theory. So let's just get right into this. And the first topic of this video is going to relate and talk about souls and give you a better understanding of what souls really are in the world of One Piece. But in short, souls really are life force in combination with humanity. That is the essence of what a soul is. You have a body and you have a soul. The body by itself has no life or humanity. It is only a vessel. If you give the body a soul, it then has life. But souls don't just give life to real bodies, biological bodies that could actually sustain life in real life. Souls can actually give life to pretty much anything. The soul only requires an empty vessel in which it can enter. The main restriction seems to be that a soul cannot enter a vessel which already possesses another soul, which, remember, a soul is a combination of humanity and life. But pretty much anything else is free game to possibly house a soul. This is proved by Big Mom and her abilities, as well as Brook. Didn't you ever think it was weird that Brook, having a dead body, was still alive? This was one of the biggest mysteries in One Piece for the longest time. And while probably there was clues to point out the answer to this a while ago, since this recent chapters in One Piece with Big Mom, it's practically been confirmed that Brook is alive solely because of his soul. As we know, Big Mom has the soul fruit, in which she's able to extract souls from people or things, and then give them to other people, actually not other people, other things that don't currently have humanity, this being animals, as well as inanimate objects. So speaking specifically about the inanimate objects, there's no way that these things could be alive just based on their bodies alone. They're not capable of life in the real world, yet they have life due to Big Mom's soul power and receiving the souls that Big Mom extracts. And so this is the same as Brook and with his soul. The body does not matter. It doesn't matter what the body is necessarily, although there are some exceptions. All that matters is that once you have a soul, then you have life. Okay, as a side note, I can already see some contradictions brewing here. I want to emphasize that what Big Mom does is she grants things humanity. So through her soul power, she can grant things humanity, but she can't actually give her soul powers to other people, except for the original host of that soul. So the soul that Big Mom takes from people doesn't necessarily grant life, because animals already have life, trees already have life. What they lack is humanity. And so when Big Mom extracts a soul and then gives it to an animal or a plant or an object, what she's really giving it is life force in combination with humanity. But going back to the fact that Big Mom cannot take the soul of one person and then give it to another person who already possesses a soul, this is a really interesting point that I will bring up later in this video, which is that one body cannot hold two souls. But now going back to the fact that Brook is able to control his own soul, and he was able to do this outside of his own body, it supports the notion that the devil fruit abilities of a devil fruit user is tied directly to the user's soul and not their body. Brook's dead body did not have the powers of the Yomi Yomi no Mi. Brook's soul, however, had the ability of the fruit, which is why he's able to freely move around outside of his own body. Another good evidence for this is looking at Big Mom and her abilities. She's actually able to remove her own soul from her body, which is the black bobs that we've seen recently in the Whole Cake Island arc, and then we can see that they can use Big Mom's devil fruit ability outside of Big Mom's body. And so as a side note to this whole thing, and as a side note, this is a crazy side note, and I've already sort of done a theory about this in general, but this just supports the idea that why is Blackbeard able to obtain multiple devil fruits? Well, that would suggest that he has multiple soul, each devil fruit tied to the individual soul that is within his body. But again, one body can have multiple souls, which again suggests that it's possible that Blackbeard has multiple bodies or is in some way composed of multiple bodies within his one entire body, which would explain the comments that we see around Blackbeard that he has a quote-unquote, and this is through Marco, a quote-unquote strange body. And then Luffy and Zoro both refer to Blackbeard as a they rather than a he, and I've done some talk about this explaining why exactly. They definitely meant that he was multiple people. Regardless, some people are against that notion, but again, I think that this particular line, taken as it is, supports the idea that Blackbeard is more than one person. In addition to having more than one body within his one body, he has a soul attached to each part of him, and then each of these souls can consume their own devil fruit, which is why Blackbeard is able to eat multiple devil fruit unlike anyone else before him. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I've already established that there's a difference between body and soul, and that together the body and soul make up a person with humanity. Now I want to try and illustrate the similarities between souls and then devil fruit. And so firstly, I want you guys to look at Brook in his soul form, as well as look at Big Mom when she extracts the soul from someone's body. Look at its appearance and how Oda decides to draw it. And then I think immediately you can tell that there are some similarities between the depictions of both of these things. This should be the case because they are the same thing. Now I want you guys to look at a picture of the devil fruit cycle. How when a person eats a devil fruit, they gain powers or abilities. And then when they die, the devil fruit then leaves the body and then goes back into a fruit. And then look at how Oda decides to draw this form of the devil fruit as it leaves this person's body after they died and then entered the fruit. I think again, you can see the similarities here between the devil fruit and then Brook and then Big Mom extracting soul. There's a similarity between the appearance of a soul and the appearance of the devil fruit as it leaves someone's body. Could a devil fruit be another kind of soul? As you ask yourself that, I want you to pay close attention to something Jabra of CP9 said when discussing the fact that he had eaten a devil fruit. He says that he has a devil living inside of him. Perhaps to be more accurate, he meant to say he has a foreign soul living inside of him, which he calls a devil. What this suggests to me is that a person who ends up eating a devil fruit, what they've inherently done is they've added a foreign soul into their body. But this soul has to be different than a regular soul, otherwise it wouldn't work. A person cannot have two souls in the same body. Therefore, the devil fruit, while being a soul sort of by nature, is not another soul, and therefore can actually work within the body, but has some risks. So essentially, it occupies and interacts with a person's soul, which is why the devil fruit powers are associated with the soul and not the body. But I don't think it's the same kind of soul. It's a different kind of soul, but very similar to a person's soul. And then he goes on to explain how, and he's wrong, Blue Note actually clarifies, which is that if somebody eats multiple devil fruits, then they will die. Jabra describes it as two devils fighting and ultimately killing the body. And this is really interesting because it seems as though the devil fruits operate with the same rules as the regular soul, which is that one person cannot have multiple souls, one person cannot have multiple devil fruits within them. But going back to the idea that we have two different kinds of soul within the same body, one kind of soul coming from the devil fruit, and then the actual soul that a person would have, a lot of you might be thinking that this is just too weird, that this doesn't make sense. But there is actually some evidence from One Piece already which suggests that there are multiple different kinds of souls. What I'm talking about is the shadow, and what we learn about shadows through Moria's shadow devil fruit. Brook describes shadows as being another soul. In this case, we could interpret it as another kind of soul. But still, there's some magical shit going on here, and definitely provides an opportunity for there to be different kinds of souls, and allows for the possibility that a devil fruit could be another kind of soul. But again, I want you to note that the shadows don't actually contain the devil fruit or don't interact with the devil fruit. If you remove a shadow from someone, you don't actually take away their devil fruit powers, because Luffy, without his shadow, still had his Gomu Gomu no Mi devil fruit powers. So I think this adds a little bit of support to the overall idea that the devil fruit is associated with a person's soul and then not their shadow. And so a different situation is that of Trafalgar Law and his ability to transplant personalities. Now, I don't want to touch too much about this because this honestly just adds another layer of confusion that I don't really want to get into. But for my main point here for talking about Law's powers is that he's able to transplant someone's personality, but the devil fruit stays with the person or the body. So Smoker and Tashigi swapped personalities, but then Tashigi and Smoker's body still had Smoker's smoke fruit. And so what this suggests to me is that Law, whatever he switches, is not someone's soul. It's something different to that. And this also makes some sense because of the way Oda decided to draw it. We can see how Oda draws souls in Brook and then Big Mom, and then what Law seems to do seems to like poke out their hearts and then switch them. And so while I don't want to get into what this is, I don't think that this is someone's soul. So basically someone's soul has remained within their body, but their personality has then moved to another body. And so if the soul stays within the original body, so would the devil fruit powers, which would explain what's going on here. So now I have to fill in a glaring hole, which is that I've seemingly at this point in time, I've highly persuaded at least some of you that the devil fruit is associated directly with someone's soul. However, there are some examples from One Piece of things without souls, keeping in mind that souls are both life force and humanity, and so animals do not have souls, and neither do inanimate objects. Yet we have seen animals and inanimate objects obtain devil fruit abilities. Examples of this include Chopper, who was originally a reindeer who ate the human fruit, and then additionally Funkfried, who was a sword who ate the elephant fruit. So how can we explain this? Well, to be fair, there's a lot of ways of potentially explaining this, so I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible, but I think that there are a couple possibilities. First of all, perhaps it's possible that the devil fruit does not require a vessel with the soul to go inside of it, and then give that vessel powers. In this case, if someone did have a soul, if a vessel did already possess a soul, and then consumed a devil fruit, then the soul currently within the body and then the soul of the devil fruit would connect in some way, but it isn't required. Another possibility is that animals actually do possess souls, and so in this case, it's just another different kind of soul from the soul of a human. And so the governing rule here seems to be that you can't have two souls of the same kind. So in the case of Big Mom's power, she's able to give animals humanity, because animals, while possessing souls, can also receive an additional human soul on top of their animal soul. But you just can't have two of the same kind. And then with this being said, perhaps it's possible that the secret Vegapunk figured out to give inanimate objects devil fruit is the secret of giving inanimate objects souls in the first place. Regardless, either of these explanations could possibly explain away why things that we don't perceive to have souls could potentially still consume devil fruits, even though devil fruits seem tied to someone's soul. So now guys, we have finally reached the actual topic of this video. At this point in time, I have differentiated between the body and the soul, and have provided a lot of evidence to suggest that a person's devil fruit ability is tied directly to their soul. While I think that it's a different kind of soul, it seems to in some way gravitate towards or connect with a person's soul. And so the devil fruit and the soul are highly related. And so the real question is, and this is the question that Marco ended up bringing up to me in the stream that I wanted to address, which is that Big Mom has the soul no me. She has the ability to extract and manipulate people's souls. And people's souls seem to have a direct interaction with their potential devil fruit ability if they have consumed a devil fruit. And so could Big Mom potentially extract people's devil fruit abilities? Potentially, I think so. This is in essence what people have already been speculating when they've been speculating about possibly Brook meeting up with Big Mom in the future of the Whole Cake Island arc, which is that if Big Mom were to meet Brook and then extract his soul from his body, then the speculation is that Brook would be just fine because he has a devil fruit ability which allows him to control his soul and move around in his soul form. The devil fruit ability is tied directly to his soul. And so if Big Mom extracted his soul from his body, that wouldn't actually kill Brook or actually do anything to Brook, because Brook can control himself and then go back into his body if he chose. But I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed that Brook in particular would be immune from Big Mom's powers. There is the possibility that the devil fruit being a different kind of soul than the actual soul, Big Mom's powers don't actually have any effect on it. And so if Big Mom were to remove someone's soul from their body, she would take their actual soul and then leave the devil fruit ability with the body. But I don't think that this is likely. I do think that it's likely if Big Mom were to remove Brook's soul from his body, and let's assume that Brook didn't actually have control over his soul with his Yomi Yomi no Mi powers, then his devil fruit as well as his soul, if it was sort of entered into an animal or an object, would then have Brook's devil fruit ability, which would, funnily enough, be absolutely useless for them. But using this ability, if it is actually true that Big Mom possesses it, she could then take out really high level pirates who've obtained really strong devil fruits, and then potentially give them to her homies. If she takes the soul of these people, which comes along with their devil fruit ability, and then gives it to her homies, that could just be another layer of just sheer awesomeness from Big Mom and her crew. But yeah guys, I've rambled on far too long. There's a lot of other topics that I really wanted to include in this video, but in the end decided not to because it would just get too convoluted. But I do have some other videos that I could potentially make based on this same sort of thing, which includes how the Smile Devil Fruit works. Just the shadows specifically, as well as just specific with Trafalgar Law's ability. These are all videos that I could potentially make. I think I'm actually definitely going to make the Smile Devil Fruit, how that exactly works in my opinion. I'll make that video. But yeah, just a lot of topics here, and honestly, I didn't want to confuse myself by including too many of them at the same time. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or you disagree, and why. Just add your comments. This is definitely a topic that requires a lot of brains in order to properly figure out. Like the video if you like the video. I'd appreciate it if you subscribed, and as always, dudes, have a wonderful day.